And there's a couple of things I want to say about that. The first thing is a little anecdote, which you may have heard. Has anyone heard the story of John Lennon when he was a teenager in front of his vocation officer? Yeah. So he was asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he said, happy. And the vocation officer said, I don't think you understand the question. And he said, I don't think you do. And that's kind of what I'm getting at here in a way. Because for me, our purpose, and I'm using the original meaning of the word purpose, which is actually just that, meaning. Purpose is actually finding meaning. It's not finding the thing that you are to do. Yeah. It's finding meaning. And I think that's what brings happiness in that sense. And so for me, that's definitely an inside job. And I think meditation is one of the greatest tools we have at our disposal to actually turn inside and find that meaning on the inside. Our souls are very persistent, They're not good, they're not bad, but they are persistent. They're very, very set on you finding out what their instructions are, right? And so if we, like I did in the first half of my life, just continually look outward and work outwardly and almost become misaligned to those set of instructions, our soul tends to manifest things in the outside world, right? Yeah. I call it the feather, the brick in the train. When we first sort of come off our alignment, come off our path a little bit, things will start to happen in your external environment that are alerting you to the fact that this is happening. And it'll start off subtle, but if you continue to not listen, it will become stronger and stronger and stronger until eventually it's going to have to be a train wreck to get you to pay attention. The soul will give you the voice at the level you need to hear it. And it will continue to get louder until you pay attention, And for me, meditation creates that bridge, that bridge. But what we are doing when we are meditating is learning the language of our soul, because our soul doesn't speak to us in complete sentences. In fact, it doesn't even speak to us in words. And when I close my eyes and meditate, and what I'm hoping to kind of instill in people is understanding the language of soul, which is images and poetry and art and music and love and nature-based metaphors and these types of things. But it's certainly not, your inner voice is not going to say, this is what you should do. It's going to just give you a series of images and things like that. And meditation for me is learning how to understand that language. Sometimes I say, you're on the right path when it does start being a bit inconvenient. And you'll find that, you might bump up against things like that, where you're not moving with the stream of culture. But to me, sometimes that's a good thing, and that's when you have to really lean into your fear and become yourself. And it's not about pleasing others, it's not about just doing what the mainstream are doing. It's you expressing yourself as you in the world. And there'll definitely be moments when that feels lonely. But as I said, the soul is persistent. And if you really want that unique genius, which is yours to give, then you have to go that direction. That's just the way it is. It's often described, I could look at the etymology of the word weird, for example, but think about this, a little child in the playground, to be part of the herd, you want to be liked. And so you start just behaving the way everybody else is behaving. So what are you doing in that moment when you do that? You're actually taking that genius and you're locking it away deep inside yourself and throwing away the keys. Because the part of you which makes you different, the part of you which makes you weird is connected to your genius. And if you look at all the people that have done incredible things in the world, incredible things, they stand out because they are different. And they've come to embrace that difference. But oftentimes they might have to reclaim it. And part of the job of reconnecting to soul, I talked about that we're all disconnected to soul. Part of that disconnection is because of that. because we've sliced off those parts of ourselves which makes us different and sent them off into the forest to fend for themselves. And there's so many mythic stories about entering into the forest to go and find that part of yourself which has descended to become a monster. You know, the dragon in the forest is often those parts of ourselves which we've renounced. And they're the
Mm.
parts which hold the key. They're the past which have those instructions in their back pocket. Something that we can all consider is that, you know, I believe there's a lack of elders in the society that we currently, there's a lot of elders, but not too many elders, you know, and I think that practices like meditation, disciplines like that, you're beginning to take on the responsibility of what it means to truly be an elder again. And the more of us, and I look around this group and I'm sure, you know, we all have our disciplines in place, like, you know, let's make part of that so that as we age, you know, we move gracefully into that responsible position of being an elder in our community.